Cloud services are set to take over Asia. Mario Kart Tour is a microtransaction minefield with a subscription. Shenmue III's trial period is getting underway, and we've got the story of a developer going against their publisher. All that and far more on today's episode of The Roundup. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another edition of The Roundup. It's been an eventful week and we have a lot of very interesting stories to cover. Of course, as always, be sure to like, subscribe and ring that bell to let YouTube know that you enjoy the channel. And with that, let's get into the news. So, the industry is always trying to increase the size of its customer base, with cloud being the next big trend, and with Asia actually being primed for a cloud takeover, something that could pave the way for an aggressive expansion into that distribution model in the West. So, an investigation undertaken by market analysis firm Nico Partners has pretty much suggested that within 5 years, cloud gaming in Asia is expected to reach 60 million gamers and may surpass 500 million by 2028. These are really big numbers. They reflect an upward trajectory and a capturing of a colossal market. After all, China has a population of almost 1.4 billion right now, and that's around 4 times that of the USA. Nico Partners founder Lisa Hansen states that cloud gaming will be of tremendous benefit to gamers who will have access to a large number of high-quality titles without the need for expensive hardware. Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Now, it therefore, by my estimation, makes sense that cloud would do well in a lower GDP per capita market. And of course, many emerging markets actually have really good internet and very dense populations, of course, in urbanized areas, and that's something that does fit China actually quite perfectly as compared to the rather sparsely populated United States of America, with China's average density per square mile being 375 people, which is a lot more dense than the USA's 85. Now, Asia is going to play an integral part of any future shift towards cloud gaming, as this report actually predicts that the services will reach approximately 3 million gamers in Asia by as early as next year. Now, in an interview with GameDaily.biz, Nico Partners senior analyst Daniel Ahmad said, "Consoles are a niche market in Asia outside Japan, and we expect this to remain the case moving into the next generation. We believe that cloud gaming can expand the console playing audience by bringing high quality console games to PC and mobile gamers via cloud." Then in line with all this, Microsoft have actually already partnered with SK Telecom to trial its xCloud subscription service with over 1 million 5G users on its network, as Ahmad points out. Microsoft actually just this week opened registration for the preview version of its xCloud service, which is open to players in the UK, US and Korea. Now, this trial is due to start in October for those with Android mobile devices, with a console trial to come somewhere down the line. And it's going to bring with it Gears 5, Halo 5, Sea of Thieves, and Killer Instinct. Now, that Microsoft have chosen a mobile platform for their first big xCloud trial, that's no surprise given the prevalence of mobile devices, especially in Asia, with Nico Partners confirming that they are the largest segment of the affected market, and that Korea is being chosen as a trial location that actually signals Microsoft's intent to tap into the Asian market as best they can. And if you think about a lot of the modern gaming phones, they're actually quite targeted at the Asian market. Now, there's certainly money to be made in Asia when it comes to mobile gaming, thanks to the somewhat sneaky rebrand and relaunch of China's PUBG Mobile. Well, that was a 540% revenue increase year over year, and it became the first mobile battle royale to surpass $1 billion in revenue. Now, yes, technological limitations may have held back previous attempts at cloud gaming services, but with big players such as Microsoft and Google involved, and the refined network infrastructure of 4G and 5G making the high quality streaming achievable, that market could get even larger, especially when that mobile infrastructure is so good in so many Asian cities. Next though, and still in the realms of mobile, Mario Kart Tour has only been out for a few days, and it's already drawn heavy criticism for the sheer boldness of its microtransactions. Now, criticizing a mobile game for being packed full of microtransactions, I mean, it does feel a bit moot at this stage, the definition of a lost cause, but honestly, Nintendo they really are trying to see what they can get away with here. So Mario Kart Tour is a gacha game at its core. Almost every item in the game, so the characters, the carts, the skins, they're all unlockable through loot boxes that are either earned or of course purchased in the game. Now, get this. Mario Kart Tour also has a premium subscription service called Gold Pass. So for a monthly fee of $4.99, Gold Pass offers exclusive bonus items and premium challenges. And it's also, and this is mad, it's actually where the game's 200cc mode is. I mean, we certainly have came a long way, although I'm not too sure in what direction, because, 200cc, that mode was a free update for Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U, and it's now behind a recurring paywall on phones. Now, what's particularly galling about this whole scenario is that the mobile Mario Kart had so much potential behind it, but the version presented to us in Mario Kart Tour is, it's lacking at best and downright exploitative at worst. There's no multiplayer yet, which is very odd for a Mario Kart game that's arriving with an additional update down the line, but if you have these gacha game mechanics and then player versus player, you're literally making the game pay to win. Still, Nintendo have been experimenting with monetization for quite a while in their mobile titles. Now, the bulk of the content in Super Mario Run, that was purchased just up front. You just bought it like a standard game, and that seemed fair enough, but subsequent releases, games like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, they've been full to the brim with game-changing microtransactions. And this isn't even the first time Nintendo have had a gacha game with a premium subscription. That's actually something they tried with Pokemon Duel for a limited array of bonuses for $16.99 US a month, which is mad. Now, the thing is, if Mario Kart Tour had have released a few months ago, people would have thought it was ridiculous, but there wouldn't have been a great comparison. But in the wake of Apple Arcade and Google Play Pass, the gold subscription just feels horribly antiquated. For the same amount of money on Apple, you get this library of premium games that have no BS. And really, that just does show how bad the value for money is with Nintendo's offering. It actually costs more than the actual Nintendo Switch online subscription, and that at least comes with a better Mario Kart game. But still, this seems to be working okay for them. SensorTower.com just announced that the day one downloads for Mario Kart Tour topped 20 million, actually beating out Pokemon Go, and the player spending has already topped 1 million globally. So it's actually quite possible that people just don't care. Interestingly, though, the most popular purchase was the Gold Pass, but it's not yet generating revenue because it does have a 2-week free trial period, so we'll have to check back in a fortnight to see how many people have forgotten to cancel the subscription. Next up, we've got some less than stellar news from the turbulent world of publisher and developer relations. So, Frogwares, the developers behind the popular series of Sherlock Holmes detective games, as well as their recent title The Sinking City, have shared an open letter to, quote, everyone who is interested in the video game industry, and it's detailing their dealings with Focus Home Interactive, their publisher. The letter, posted to Twitter, states that some of their games are being removed from the Sony and Microsoft storefronts, and possibly even from Steam as well, which is pretty major. Now, the reason for this is that Focus Home, who acted as the publisher for the affected titles, quote, refuses to transfer the title IDs to Frogwares, the creators and IP owners of those titles, even though their publishing and distribution agreement has ended. According to a newly published statement from Focus Home Interactive themselves, quote, Focus has put in place a policy in accordance with which they will not transfer and title, the content ID or title ID, belonging to any developer which has removed all their games from the Focus catalog. Now, Frogwares maintains that this policy was not included in any of their previous or existing contracts with Focus Home Interactive and that it has never been applied to them in the past, but that it is the reason why their games is now being removed from storefronts. Now, the only game that's actually currently still live is Sherlock Holmes Crimes and Punishment, which only has until the 29th of September, at which time we assume it will just disappear off storefronts. Now, Frogwares have written that this is a serious blow to them financially and that it will result in a lot of lost revenue, but also lost wish lists, which are very important on Steam. And it's a difficult situation to see. It seems to have been borne out by shifting priorities and interests and basically an absence of effective communication. The relationship, of course, between a publisher and a developer, that's an important one. Sometimes it can be difficult, there can be disagreements, and Focus's decision could prove both influential and damaging to the future of at least this branch of indie gaming. But really, for my take here, I think we're going to have to wait and see and get a bit more clarity before we further delve into this story, because a part of it could be, let's just say Frogwares, their agreement ends with Focus Home, but Focus Home published a game and maybe Focus Home still want to make revenue from that game that they, put a lot of money into. Right now, I think we're just lacking details and we'll have to wait and see more. Next up, though, I'm going to do something that's absolutely going to blow your mind. Good news. Yes, we're going to do some good news. This week saw new DLC for Dragonball FighterZ actually come with a free trial campaign that will give players the opportunity to actually try out the DLC fighters before they take the purchase plunge. Now, it's unclear at this stage exactly how long each period will last, but it is a very refreshing move on Bandai Namco's part, and fans are, I think, rightly impressed. Now, being able to try a character's playstyle, especially in a fighter, before buying the DLC, that's a very pro-consumer move. It's showing that they, in this case at least, don't want to take money in return for a character that a player may not enjoy, and I think that is absolutely admirable. Now, Dragonball FighterZ operates a sort of season pass for the new DLC fighters, and fighters can also be purchased individually. A trial period, of course, will go a long way to helping players try out all the different fighters and work out which characters are good for them while still allowing for good value for money. So, yes, this is a good move. Absolutely more of this in the industry, please. Next, though, and speaking of trial periods, we've got some more Shenmue III development news. So, developer YSNet announced via their Kickstarter page that this week, backers will receive the email instructions for how to access Shenmue III's replayable PC demo. Now, in terms of the content of the demo, the update reads that this special version lets you experience one day in Bellular Village near the beginning of the game, which includes some story elements, battles, and mini-games. It's important to note that the trial is going to be accessed through a code for the Epic Games Store, and that your save data is not actually going to be carried over, but basically it is just a slice of the gameplay to see what Shenmue III is actually all about, which I think a lot of people will be interested in considering the series' history. Now, interestingly, it also notes that playing with a controller is highly recommended because keyboard controls are supported for Shenmue III, but the keyboard functionality is still being upgraded, and the recent upgrades have not been applied to the trial version, so it actually is very evident that the game is still a work in progress, at least for its PC version. Now, the trial is PC only. We're going to have to wait and see what happens for the PS4 players, as an example. The Shenmue III Kickstarter page has actually been quite active, posting updates over the last couple of days, but of course, it's remained particularly quiet on the important issues that people really do care about, such as the issues of refunds that we covered in the previous episode of the Roundup. So let's hope they can tidy things up a little bit more for the game's November release. And then next up, we've got an Anthem update. Yes, Anthem continues to limp ever onwards in a way that's, a bit impressive, also a bit tragic. So the game briefly experienced a very mild resurgence during its recent Cataclysm event, where, it was sort of a whole bunch of content came in. Some more players actually came in to play that content, but the thing was, the Cataclysm was a time-limited event, something that's very annoying in live services. You know, a new thing happens, you go and you play it, nope, it's gone. Happened to be with Outpost mode in Battlefield 5, and I did not particularly enjoy it being taken away. But of course, with the Cataclysm going, the players just left again. BioWare appear to have taken notice, though. They've taken notice of the significant content vacuum left by the removal of the Cataclysm event, and they've quietly reactivated it during their weekly Anthem reset. So they brought back the event's replayable arenas, but they actually left the leaderboards and the shard currency system in the bin. An update was posted to the EA community forum that confirmed that the Echoes of Reality portion of the Cataclysm will remain open for players to enjoy, as well as stating that players will be able to earn crystals from their runs, but the daily Cataclysm challenges, story missions, and free play events will not remain, according to the post. So the update emphasized that also crystals will not carry over to the next event, so players basically just, earn your stuff and spend them in the seasonal store before it's too late. The basic story here, though, is they kind of decided to reactivate an element of their event because they basically realized, oh dear, it's Anthem, there's not really anything to do. Overall, though, there does seem to be something going on with Anthem behind the scenes. They've not completely thrown it in the bin. They've talked about making long-term fundamental improvements. I mean, they scrapped their DLC plan. They know that would have been a very big PR hit, but they scrapped that, basically admitting that, look, we could add all the content in the world into this game short-term, but we understand that the problems of the game are its fundamentals, so I think it's really good that they scrapped their roadmap. I think that's an admission that the launch game was just doomed to failure and was not working out, and that they need to redevelop the core. It's interesting that they've put this element of the Cataclysm back to keep people engaged, and I mean, at least it shows they're thinking about Anthem. Overall, though, I think we need to wait, 6 months, maybe a year, however long it takes for the fundamental changes, because it totally is possible that this game could have its own version of Diablo 3's Loot 2.0. If you're not aware, basically Diablo 3 had a lot of fundamental issues, had the auction house, all these terrible things on launch, but then quite significantly after launch, they did a massive update in preparation for the Reaper of Souls expansion, and they basically fixed the loot system, and Diablo 3 went from being extremely frustrating to actually pretty darn fun. fun. So it is totally possible that BioWare could do this with Anthem, and as much as I will definitely laugh at EA for mishandling the project, criticize BioWare for them mishandling the project, ultimately for all the people who have purchased that game, and that the game actually does, I think, have some promise with its core stuff, I would actually like it to have a good story in the end. And just clearly, we're nowhere near the bit of the book where their story actually turns into a good one. Anyway, that's it for today's roundup. We should have a fun little report tomorrow, hopefully anyway, so be sure to subscribe, like the video, and do all that stuff, and yeah, that should come out. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and with that, I will see you next time.